Here's something from a person on the committee. I've done several co-star roles and really feel that it's time to move up to a guest star. Is there a way through marketing to convey that I'm ready for the next step?
What I do is this. We have so many times we have gotten somebody in the door for a co-star and they were so stellar they walked away with top of show. So many times. And so it's all about what you do when you get in that room. And so if you're ready for the guest star, then you'll probably get the guest star. But I think that if you're the kind of actor that just has, you're saying co-star, 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 co-star on your resume and you think it's stopping you, maybe take co-star off the resume. Like just say the name of the role or something, or say the director or something, and stop marking yourself as I'm only a co-star. You know, I don't say only. I don't really want to. I want to rewind that. I think you should work all the time, and I think that there's no part that's too small for you. And I think if you should get your pension, and you should be meeting these people, and you should not be sitting in the living room, and you should, you know what I mean. Everything you do builds to something else, and I want my actors to always work. I don't care what size it is, because it turns into you think it's a co-star, but you're in the whole show. You never know how it can turn. So, I would say just adjust your resume.
You mean lie?
It's not a line. Take co-star. Just say I played John, because you could say John Smith co-star, right? And it says co-star. Just say John Smith.
You put series regular.
Right. Series regular.
I get this question a lot from a lot of fellow actors as well, but it is a conversation that you should also have with your agent, and say, I appreciate the work. I'm going out, getting a lot of co-star stuff. Is there any way to ask them if there's a role of higher billing? I mean, go ahead and start that conversation with your team so that they understand that that's on your mind as well. You might hear no a few times, but at least you're having the conversation. But if it's only your thought, and you keep going, oh God, it's only a co-star, then it's only your thought. You have to discuss these things with your team in order for them to understand that, okay, you like the work, but I understand, you want a different kind of billing, okay. But if you don't have that discussion, it doesn't magically happen.
Now, I want to know what all y'all's feeling is about the casting director workshops. I know the party line here at the union for a long time has been, you should never pay to meet a casting director because we give you opportunities to meet them for free, blah, blah, blah. And I can guarantee you, if Juliet Taylor was coming out here from New York and wanted to charge me $500 to massage her feet for 15 minutes, I would do it because A, I know exactly who she is, B, I have the money, and C, it would be worth my while. And I do some career coaching, and I have some clients who will only go to the workshops where they have the opportunity to meet the casting director like 4 weeks in a row and really get to know them. But just in general, what's your experience around this whole area?
Well, I think what we teach at Savvy is everything has to have a reason, a purpose, and a strategy behind it. It's RPS, and really that's your direction, right? So why are you doing it? Why do you want to meet this particular casting director? There are opportunities to meet them. So if in every other business, okay, they host parties. They pay for drinks. So this is your opportunity to host your own party, to pay for drinks, to meet for somebody. It's a business expense, okay? But it's not to go out and meet every single person.
Somebody who's working on a project that you're right for.
That you're absolutely right for, that you've done the research for, that you've been watching the trades, you've been watching, you're absolutely right for this show, and you know the reason why, and maybe your only opportunity to get in front of them is for the casting director workshop. Maybe that's the only way you can start the relationship. Sometimes you need to meet people in person. Everybody's situation is different. It's not just about the meeting the casting director or the agent just for the meeting necessarily. It's going, okay, why am I spending this money? What do I hope to gain? Hopefully it's just the start of a relationship. And that's really what you're initiating.
Now, Pam, you teach at UCLA.
I do.
What are you teaching?
I teach a thing actually called The Working Actor, but it's basically a business course in the 2-year film accreditation program, and it teaches you how to become the CEO of your business. It's not an acting course, and I have a lot of guest speakers in it. I'm on the other side of this. I am totally, totally opposed to workshops. Always have been, have never done one.
Because?
I am opposed to, and I think a lot of the top, I should say, casting directors, and you will never see Julia Taylor come out and do a workshop.
I said a massage. I would massage her feet.
Maybe she'll do that, but she's not doing a workshop. I think the problem that I have is I don't think actors should pay to see me. I have a real thing about that. I don't take money at UCLA, even though I teach. That's a very personal thing. Now, I've taught at UCLA for 7 years. I've had a lot of students who come to me and say, well, Pam, I went to Scott David's workshop, and you know what was great? He then called me in. I said, you know what? I can't tell you that's wrong. You know, if you had a good experience and it worked for you, then fine. But I'm never going to be the one that says to you, you should take a workshop. I think there are enough teachers and enough classes that are really classes and not just workshops. And I think when the LA City Attorney got on board and decided to make all the workshops that are legal be bonded, it did eliminate a lot of the people being taken advantage of, but there's still a lot of stuff going on there that he hasn't caught. And it's only in the city of LA. So if you're teaching in the Valley, it doesn't affect the law that's in LA. It's not a state law, it's an LA County law, which is kind of interesting. So that's how I feel about it, and I've always been very vocal. There are some casting directors that disagree with me, but if you really look at the casting directors who do workshops, you will find, I would say, and this is just a flat percentage, 90% of the really good working casting directors never do a workshop.
But oftentimes their assistants do, or their associates.
Well, you know what? When someone works for you and they're not making the same as you, no one that works for me is allowed to do that, ever. That's one of my rules. If you work in my office, you cannot do a workshop because you do represent me. And there have been a lot of assistants who represent, this happened actually at the Backstage LA Actor Fest a year ago. 2 people were there representing that they were casting directors. 2 of them had run a camera once for Mary Venue. And they actually did the entire workshop, and then later Mary Venue found out about it and threatened to sue them.
Ooh,
so you have to really, if you're going to take a workshop, what I do really suggest is that you find out who the person is, do they really work in that office, do your homework about them. So if you're going to pay money, that you know at least you're really meeting someone that is, to what you think, worthwhile.
Lisa, Deborah, opinions on said subject?
I know people always get crazy because I'm so passionate.
I think that's really cool. I think what Pam says is really cool. I mean, personally, I think that would be great if people didn't charge. I really think that'd be great. I think reality is that you do workshops. I have some actors that don't do it. Their careers are such they don't do it, and that's cool. And I have other actors that do it, and they get work from it. So it just depends who you are and what you're want to do. I mean, I can get you in without you doing a workshop, or I can get you in with a workshop. So it just depends on you, right? But do some of my people do workshops? Yeah, sure. And do they work? Yeah.
Years ago, I didn't know how to meet other actors and directors and everything else, and workshops came up. I got my current agent through a workshop. I went in and did it. Now, what I learned a couple of things from the workshop. I always say it with a healthy warning. Because sometimes you're going to stagger into these workshops that people are following that casting person, and they've gone to several workshops over and over. It's a little click, and you're stepping into it, and they're really, really trying to buy themselves an audition. And I found that happens, and that wasn't my thing. For me, I always approached it as an acting lesson, never as a gig or a promise or anything else. And you go in, you see what other people are doing, what the level is at, what do you match with this audition is like, if you're seeing other people's work. So for me, I approached it that way. Maybe I did 3 in my life, and they all worked very well for me. I also found that as a person of color, they didn't have readily information or sides that were for a person of color. So I got to show my range, and it didn't matter my ethnicity. And that helped me as well, and introduce myself to other casting directors, so they saw me not just as Benito Martinez, a Latino actor, but just as an actor who had some range, and that really worked for me on that level as well. So that's my personal take on it, but I always warn, be very careful when you're giving up your money. If you don't know who they are or what they're doing, or they've been doing a lot of them, be careful.
Yeah, you're in a town full of people who are going to tell you, give me your money, I will help your career. And assuming that most of you are not trust fund babies. you're going to have to make decisions. You're going to have to put on your CFO cap, you know, because you are the CEO, you are the chief financial officer. You need to figure out where you best spend your money. And don't ever tell, if you go into audition for Pam Dixon, that you went to one of her
I would never.
associates workshops.
I went to your workshop. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Like I said to you, you know, I mean, after 7 years of teaching at UCLA, hundreds and hundreds of students have gone through my classes. And like I say, for some of them, it's been very beneficial. Mine is a very personal point of view, and that's why I said that to begin with. It's not right, it's not wrong, it's just how I personally feel. And it's also how you personally feel. If you're willing to pay your money to see whoever you want to see, you have the right to do that, just like I have the right not to do it. So that's really where it's at.
All right, I'm going to do 2 more questions from the committee, because they spent a lot of time on these questions, and then I'm going to let you raise your hands. Okay. Naturally, there is a certain dignity one must maintain as one becomes more established in this business. I did not write this, I swear to God. How does taking large risks and staying aggressive marketing-wise, how does one take large risks and stay aggressive marketing-wise without seeming desperate, annoying, or struggling? How should we conduct ourselves differently from newbies but still operate with the same level of enthusiasm and proactivity?
I wrote that.
No. Thoughts?
You know,
You stumped them.
You did. No, I mean, Benito said it earlier too. He said, "I'm not comfortable with the social networking." You said, or something about that, about doing
that level of it.
So that level of it, and even doing casting director workshops. You need to do what you're comfortable with in your business because it is your business. You know, it's not your agent's business, it's not your manager's business, it's not the casting directors, the producers, the directors, it's yours. Now, we want to be aggressive in marketing, and we have to take risks. Why not? You know, it's not like this is a linear business anymore. Trends have changed in this business. And yes, you can do casting director workshops and do mailings and get along that way, but there's many other avenues you can take to create your own work and develop relationships. So I think you have to take risks in this business. But if you ever put something out in the world and you're like, oh, this seems like it's nagging or this or that, then it might be, you know, like just trust your gut on some of that stuff. Because you want to always present yourself with your best foot forward. You always want to present yourself as you. Think about if you were the person on the other end receiving that email or that postcard or that thank you card, what would you think of that? But I think we have to take risks and go for it.
But when you're working with people, I mean, I'm a big believer that this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And maybe this pilot season, all you do is you plant a few seeds, you know, and next pilot season you get the audition, the pilot season after that you get the guest star and then the recurring. And I mean, do you give people, I feel like you have to have the marathon mentality to do this.
Strategy.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, it's about knowing your vision, what you want for your life and your career.
I plan to peak in my 70s.
In your 70s? That's hot. That is hot.
Yeah.
All right. We have to have, where are we going? We have to give ourselves direction, because the other thing that, by giving ourselves direction, we can create strategy around that, and the more specific that strategy, the direction is, the more specific our strategy.
But don't you
can
also
be.
have to be flexible that if you start on a path and then clearly it's, you know, this is not exactly where I want to be, and
Completely.
revamp and...
Oh, absolutely.
Completely.
I was a competitive swimmer. I always thought I'd be a coach in my 60s, okay? I always knew that I would coach. I knew that I was a good coach. What I didn't expect was that in my 30s, I'd become a business coach, okay? I knew that I wanted to act. So it's about having ideas, having objectives, knowing where you want the things that you want in your life. And when it presents itself, as this did, I met Jodie Bentley, and all of a sudden the acting and career coach and all of these pieces merged. Ultimately, you want to find that merge, and then you can take action, okay? It's about committing, but then being open to that change, absolutely. But you have to know what the things are that you want, because they will present themselves. There's opportunity every single day. I love walking in this city. We run into people from New York here all the time. It's amazing. Like, we come to LA to see people that we know. It's amazing. But even in New York, there are opportunities. But a lot of times, if you don't know, if you're not clear on what you want, then you can't ask for that opportunity. You can't direct that opportunity.
As in life, as in
initiate.
acting, the more specific you are, the stronger the choice.
Boom.
Exactly.
But I also think it's about having a plan.
Yeah.
So,
completely.
and that no one's mentioned that. I think what you have to do is I think you have to really outline what your plan is. You have to have flexibility, but you do have to have the plan to begin with. And that's the starting point. And I think what so many people don't do is they don't ever write down what their plan is. They just kind of go, one day they're thinking about, and then next day they're thinking about something else. I think, and what I teach in my class at UCLA, is there are very specific things to making a plan. And if you were a CEO of a company, you would have a business plan, and you need to make a business plan. So I think that's key. And so I just want to bring that up.
How important, like that's one of the things I always say is, if you know, the difference between a dream and a goal is a deadline and a plan. So how important, I mean, this is a land of many are called and few are chosen. There's always going to be more applicants than there are jobs. So if you had to quantify it, how important is intention and just not desperation but confidence and just, you know, coming in with a certain authority of this is where I belong?
It's hugely
That's
important.
everything.
I think that's everything. I think
that's
that's everything.
as an actor, we have to walk in with intention. Like, if we don't walk
Yeah.
in with anything, then anything can happen.
And we're here because we want careers. We want to work. We want you to work. I want to work. I want to work with all of you. Like, we're a community. We're a tribe, right?
I think the biggest thing that will give you confidence in that audition room, and you have to remember, you're never auditioning for the job. You're auditioning for that relationship, okay? You're always auditioning for that relationship or that office, right? Never for the job. But what's going to give you that confidence in the room is having that business plan in place. That's what we teach at Pace University, New York Film Academy. We have 6 business fundamentals that we teach, and we help people build that business plan. Because if you go in that room and you know who you are, what you want, and where you're going, you're totally going to be confident in that. And confidence is sexy. I don't care what you look like. And people feel that in the room. They feel that confidence from you.
Yeah, I mean, that's charisma, right? That's star power. You see stars walk into the room and our eyes automatically go there. It's because it's confidence. Boom. And that's what it is. And confidence can be seen through the eyes. And especially as working on camera, that's what we want. We want it coming through the eyes.
Pam?
Well, I think the other thing that people forget about an audition is the greatest thing in the world is you want to be an actor, and you have a chance to come into my room for 3 minutes and do what you want to do best. And when you come into my room, you shouldn't be thinking about what does she think, what does the director want, what does the producer want. This is your time. You don't get your time that often, but when you get your time, it's very, very important to come in and not only have confidence, but to do your thing. And this is something that you've waited the entire week to do, and it should be fun, and it should be exciting, and you shouldn't be worried about what someone's going to think. And when you come in with that attitude, your audition tends to be really good. And I think that's an important thing to remember.
All right,
ultimately,
last
that's
question. Oh,
branding.
go ahead, Deborah.
No, I was going to say, and that's the same thing with PR too. I always tell my clients, you are your best cheerleader.
Yeah.
I can get you to the event, I can get you to the premiere, but you kind of have to walk through the door. I can introduce you to somebody, but you have to kind of take it from there. So I think also too, the clients that have the best careers are the people who always stay optimistic. And I know that's hard. We get low. I also tell them when people say no, it means not now. And if you can try to think of it that way and say, hey, I had 3 minutes to meet with the fabulous Pam Dixon. That was whether I got the job or not, I still had those 3 minutes. You can't take that away from me. And if you just look at it that way, before you know it, something good will come of it. So maybe it's just karma, but I think you have to support yourself.
All right, last question from the committee. I have my friend Andy Kindler always says, I'm not really in show business, but I can see it from here. And that's kind of how I've felt. I've made my living as an actor for 700 years, but I never have really felt like I'm in show business. So how important do you think it is to attend public events, be on the red carpet, do interviews, have that media presence? Does that kind of popularity really play into casting decisions?
I think more than popularity, it's networking. Networking is the best.
And what does that mean to you?
What that means is whether you're in an acting class and you decide to make friends with the person sitting next to you who then a week later is going to say to you, oh, by the way, I went on this audition for Pam Dixon and they're looking for you. You look at the person and go, wow, I look just like them. Maybe I ought to call my agent and see what Pam Dixon's looking for. Networking is always good. The other thing I always recommend too is volunteering. If you can go to Film Independent and volunteer for their weekend that they do their film festival in LA, you're going to network with tons of people, and everyone's a volunteer. Everyone's a volunteer. I've met I'm very active in Film Independent, and I've met several actors who are the person taking me, walking me to the panel. And then they call me up and say, would you mind if I called you up and came to meet you in the office? Of course not. And that's going to be true of probably every speaker on the panel. So the more you can volunteer, and my thing is always if you can be of service. How many people ever refuse anyone who wants to be of service? Almost never. So it's more not can you help me, but can I be of service to you? And once you have that attitude, I think you'll do really, really well.
That was brilliant.
I'm not very comfortable about working a room or anything like that. So if I do an event and I do the red carpet or whatever, I want to make sure, like for me, to have a goal. Why am I there? These are people that I like. Great. I may not know them, but I make sure that I meet and introduce myself to at least 10 people before the night is over. That's it. That's simple for me. Great. Hey.
Are any of them men? I'm just.
Depends on where I'm at, babe. And so that makes it comfortable for me, so that it's not I'm schmoozing a room, but rather, hey, I'm here. Might as well meet somebody. And I say, hi, I'm Benito. I'm in the film. What do you do? Great, nice to meet you. And I go get my popcorn and sit down and watch the screening. It's not a big thing, but it helps me be present in the moment. And before you know it, inevitably, I'll meet them again and again, and you build relationships and you learn about people, and you're on a basketball team with them down the road. So,
I want to tell you that I have been very inspired by this panel. The last time I had my headshot done was 1996, so it's going to be this year.